Good morning. My name is Mary Cadden, C-A-D-D-E-N, and I'd like to welcome you to bringing balance to our fragmented lives. Would you say that your life is sometimes fragmented like mine? And that we're trying to figure out how we're putting it in balance? A couple of years ago, I put this program together, and it was a hit. People said this was worth my time, so I'm hoping that you find it worth your time today. And what we're going to be doing is it's a very practical program. So you're going to have an opportunity to to actually experience some exercises, which you may have done before or not, because what we're going to do is go through some tension, letting go of tension, how to relax the body, to show what some of the things are, learning how to breathe. We have an exercise of centering ourselves in a chair, and then centering with a challenge. Now, after each exercise, we'll just have a short discussion where you can have an opportunity to talk about what happened, and we can discuss that. The idea is for you to have time for you. I want you to think about this time that we have together today as a mini vacation. Time that you've set aside from your life, from all of the things that are going on, just to have a respite, an oasis. And hopefully during today you'll either review skills or learn new skills, new techniques, which will help you in the days ahead. At the end of the program, after we finish centering with a challenge, we'll have a reflective exercise for you, because the whole idea here is that we're trying is to say we want an undisturbable mind. We want to have calmness in action. Would you agree with that? All right, that's what I'm going for. Now that can sound a little bit like an oxymoron, calmness in action, because we usually think of ourselves like whirling dervishes in action. And instead, I want you just to think about yourself floating on the surface, fully engaged, doing your best work, and calm, with a mind that is undisturbed. Welcome. Take a seat. So when we get to the reflection activity, that's actually in the book. So I'm going to let you take a quick look at it so you know where we're going. And in the packet, what we have is a program on page 3 of that, if you'd look at it, you'll have a personal effectiveness assessment of where you are in 7 different life areas. So you can take a look at yourself and say, where am I? Then you can say, where would I really like to be? And it's a reflection exercise for you to do at the end of this program and to take along with you. Okay? And a goal-setting exercise. But the handout that you have in here is something that you'll take along at the end. I mention it up front so that you know it's there and that that's how we'll be ending. Now this program is brought to you by LifeWorks Strategies and the NIH and Family Work and Family Life Center. And this particular seminar is part of a service that's designed to help you balance your work and family responsibilities. And the service is a free benefit for NIH employees and contractors. The service gives you access to trained counselors who can assist you with your dependent care needs. The counselors can offer you practical advice, useful publications, and community resources on parenting and caring for older relatives. And the phone number of the NIH Work and Family Center is 301. Do you have that number? If not, you can jot it down, please. 301-435-1619. 301-435-1619. Thank you. Now, I've given you an introduction of where we're going. The reflection activity, as I said, gives you an opportunity to get in touch where you are, discern where you would like to be, and then to begin. And I'd like to think of all of this as a reflection activity as we go through these exercises. Is this what you came for? Yeah? Yeah, does that make sense? Okay. I also have a quote. I'm using a couple books here. One is, and I'll show that they're in your handout so that you'll have references to them. One is by Andy Brenner and Donna Markova, and a quote from their book says, "Take a moment to let your body and soul catch up with your mind." Do you ever find that, you're just thinking so hard and running so fast that then all of a sudden when you stop, your body is exhausted and you'd like to sleep for 3 days or longer and not have anyone bother you? All right? So this time that we have together here is to relax, to take a moment to let your body and soul catch up with your mind. Now I'm playing music in the background, and this music is from Don Campbell, The Mozart Effect, and it's volume 2 called Heal the Body. And we're just going to let it play in the background because research has shown that when classical music plays in the background, it has an effect on us. And on this particular series, there's 3 albums, and one is called Unlock the Creative Spirit, and another one is called Music for Intelligence and Learning. And there's been research that's shown when they play classical music, Mozart, in fact, for children, when they're learning, that their grades go up. So the idea is to start to consider what kind of an effect this whole couple hours that we have today works with you. What kind of an effect does it have on you? And has the music made a difference? And do you listen, how many of you listen to classical music as a regular? You do it in the office too? Sometimes? Sometimes? Okay, so we'll do it here. I'm making a point of it, not because you don't do it, but instead just to make sure that you're kind of focusing on it.
What did you say the name of that was?
It's The Mozart Effect. And there's also a book by the same name by Don Campbell, and this is volume 2, and it's called Heal the Body. And what I'd like you to do right now is take everything out of your hands. I'd like you just to get comfortable in the chair, legs and arms uncrossed, feet flat on the floor if possible, lower your chair if necessary. And just align your body. And take stock with your body right now. Just breathe. And notice where your breath is. In other words, how deeply are you breathing? Are you holding your breath? Is it hard to take a breath? Does your breath go just as far as your throat or the upper chest? Or is it deeper? Is it the upper abdomen, the lower abdomen? Just notice your breath right now. And as I've been talking and asking you to do this first activity, notice if your breathing has changed since we started. Just focus on your breathing. Focus on the air coming in and out. Notice the air as it comes in through your nose as you inhale. And as you exhale, exhale through your nose and notice the air. Notice the temperature of the air. Notice if it's cooler or warmer on the inhale, and if it's cooler or warmer on the exhale. Just simply notice. And now when you're ready, what I'd like you to do is just bring your attention back to the room and to us here. And I'd like you to share with the person next to you, introduce yourself. And the lady who came in that's sitting in the back, would you like to sit at the table? You're welcome to if you'd like to. All right, and just share. Pick a partner and talk about what just happened.
No, that's the way of relaxing, getting rid of stress. You breathe into the nose, like your rib cage with the air. Yeah. And exhale through your mouth. And if you do it 3 times, it's a relaxing. And also natural chocolate. That's one of the techniques for controlling the brain. I guess maybe this is your first time breathing.
No, I've done some other reading.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have you had a chance? What I'd like to do is invite you to come back now. Did you all have a chance to share with the other person what happened for you personally? Okay? Would you share it with all of us now? What happened for you?
It really made me aware of my breathing and how shallow I'm breathing.
And where were you breathing to? How far?
Just to here.
Just to here.
I started breathing abdomen because I was thinking about it.
Okay, so it automatically went down when I reminded you with the words. Good. What happened for you?
I'm going to fall asleep.
You're going to fall asleep. Yeah, you know, that happens, is that we're sleep deprived as a nation. Right? I mean, how many of us in here get 8 hours of sleep a night? Not many of us, correct? So we're sleep deprived. And as soon as you start breathing slowly like this, you say, oh, my Lord, it feels so good, but I could just, zonk out here. Once you start these exercises, let me share with you, the tendency then is I better not do this because I got to stay awake and stay alert. And I'm going to invite you to experiment and not worry about nodding off, because I'm going to teach you how to stay awake while you breathe, okay? And we'll just take it in sections, yeah.
It's very soothing and comforting. I felt it to here, so not all the way down.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Good. Now the lady, was it Ruth? I can't remember your name.
Oh, Barbara.
Barbara, thank you. You've had some experience with this. Yeah.
The deep cleansing breath and also a natural childbirth.
Okay.
And it is a way of controlling stress.
Good.
I do.
And you're practiced. Good.
I do it, and any time at work or
Excellent.
any kind.
Yeah.
I just do 3, and that's all I need.
Yeah. Good. Let's use your technique, because you were sharing. Let's go around the room so there's no strangers among us. We have Ruth. Barbara. I want to call Barbara Ruth. Have you noticed? All right. Don't know why. She must look like someone in my past that's been Ruth. Barbara, thank you.
My name's Alan.
Alan, thank you.
Jody?
Jody?
Rumi?
Rumi? Margaret and
Rumi.
Rumi. Thank you. And are you going to... Christine, thank you. All right. So what Barbara was saying is that she's learned how to breathe in through her nose and out through the mouth, correct? And when you breathe out through the mouth, you often just kind of open a little bit and let the air go out. So all I want you to do now is to take in 3 breaths, all right? I'm going to say deep breaths at your own pace. I'm also going to ask you in these 3 breaths to hold the breath for a little bit before you exhale it. And when you exhale, to breathe out through your mouth. Okay? Now I'll count for the first one and I won't count for the second 2, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So breathe in at your own pace, hold it a little bit, and then breathe out even more slowly than you inhaled. How was this experience different than the last experience?
My head floats a little.
Your head floats a little. Okay. And you know the reason for that? Because I asked you to hold it for a little bit. When you hold your breath, and you go in slowly, and you hold it, and you go out, you have a tendency to get lightheaded. And I decided that it would be good for you to experience that here in a nice, safe place, so that you know that that's what it can do to you. Now, if you're really tense, you might want to use that as a technique for 1 or 2 breaths to bring yourself down quickly. All right? The better thing to do is to breathe in, let your lungs fill with air, and then just exhale. We sometimes learn, like when we're for natural childbirth or for different situations, to control the inhalation and the exhalation. All right? I'm going to suggest for our day that you just start to tap into your body and find out how deeply you're breathing and whether or not you're holding your breath or not. And I want you to have a natural breath rather than a contrived breath. Okay? Now there's different schools of thought and there's different reasons to do different things. I want you to, the whole idea is to take a moment to let your body and soul catch up with your mind. All right? That if you have to worry about how to breathe, it's not going to be natural. I want you to start to understand your natural rhythm, because all of us have a natural rhythm. And just to learn to tap into it, and to start tapping in and noticing during the program, I'm going to say tap in and where are you breathing. And you may find that you've started to hold your breath, or you may find that it's deeper. It's not, the only wrong answer would be not knowing the answer. Okay, so you just want to know where you are. And the reason I'm spending so much time up front here on breathing is that my own personal experience tells me that that's the key to this whole thing we call equanimity. Okay, being able to have that undisturbable mind, calmness in action, being able to take everything in stride. Is that the harder you try to control things, the harder it is to control things. And that when you get into your natural rhythm and just breathe and realize some things you can control and other things you can't, and yet you can handle all of them in stride, it becomes easier. Does that make sense? Any thoughts or comments before we go to the next activity?
She mentioned you, I just want to ask a question about the breathing. The only first class I ever took with you, but they tell you to breathe and make your abdomen go out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you want us to do here, or just regular?
I just want you to breathe and not force anything. But I want you to, no, well, I want you to notice that when you take a breath, your abdomen does go out. All right? And it's natural for it to go out. Yes. It's natural for it to go out. And it comes, it's like a bellows, right? So when you fill it up with air, right, the bellows inflates. And the abdomen inflates and goes out. And then when you breathe in, it contracts. I just want you to become aware of it. The whole thing here is awareness. Because as I said, breathing is the key to balancing our lives. Awareness is the first step in the transformation. Okay? I'd like you to consider giving yourself permission to become aware and to let go of any requirement that you may have to beat yourself up mentally. You know what I mean by that? Yeah, you're shaking your head. You know how we're constantly, that little voice is talking to us and saying, you shouldn't have done that, why did you do that? Oh, you know? And while I'm talking now, I'm talking at a fairly slow pace. So while I'm talking, all of you have side string conversations going on. Yes? Huh? Different things are popping in from the day, things you have to do, things you want to do tonight. things that I'm saying? No? That's not happening to you? That's because you are a yoga practitioner and you've been practicing for a while. How about the rest of the folks that haven't been doing this? Things are popping into your mind? All right. When they pop into your mind, acknowledge them. And let them go. And if something just is bothering you so much, I want you just to write it down so you can acknowledge it by writing it down, by naming it in that fashion, and then just pick it up on your way out. That sounds a little cute, doesn't it? And yet it's a technique that works. Because when we are so busy and we have so many different people and activities and situations and events and whatever pulling at us, we have our time broken down into different fragments, and our lives can become fragmented. And we can be just running from one to the other. Yes?
And not enjoying it.
And not enjoying it. So the whole idea is to start to enjoy the process of life. And while it still may continue to be fragmented, we'll enjoy it. And we'll start to see the humor in it. And we can put ourselves in the center of a situational comedy. See, I'm already seeing those smiles. Now, what happens when you smile? You calm, right? Okay. Questions, comments? No? All right.
This is just something that I've read many times, that laughter is the best medicine.
Yes.
So I'm sure if we are like this sometimes at work, or
Mm-hmm.
you see a cartoon or you look
Yep.
at a cartoon
Yep.
and then you smile and you don't take things as serious.
Exactly.
And they probably don't even need to be serious.
That's right. As serious as we're taking it.
taking it.
Yeah. Norman Cousins, in his books that he wrote, he checked himself out of Sloan Kettering and put himself in a hotel close to it and rented comedy videos, and he just laughed. And, you know, you're here at the NIH where they do all the research, but there's research that shows that just what happens when you laugh does this. Recently, I was at a class where, do you know what the opening icebreaker was? It was just to do a good belly laugh. Would you like to try it? Would you? Can you guess what happens if you just start to laugh? Laugh. Think how ridiculous we look, huh? Did you feel it inside? Did you see, is it Loretta LaRouche on PBS? The comedy series a couple years ago, and every so often they have her on, and you can buy the video or rent it. You know, she says we get to the copier, and we look at the copier, and we see it's broken, and we just twirl. I'm not going to twirl now because I have this on me, but we just twirl around the copier, and we say, isn't this wonderful? The copier is broken. Hee hee hee. All right? Now, do you notice as you laugh how the muscles feel differently and how you feel a little calmer? Now, the only one that can remind you to do that is who? You. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to step over to the microphone here, and I'm literally going to read an exercise so I can pace my voice. And I'm going to take you through an exercise that's called letting go of tension. And it's from the book, and in your handout you have all of the books. It's called The Fine Arts of Relaxation, Concentration, and Meditation by Joel and Michelle Levy. And in this exercise, the letting go of tension, I want you to become aware of what's going on. So can you hear me now with the microphone here? What I want you to do is to again take everything out of your hands and sit comfortably in your chair. Your hands in your lap and your feet flat on the floor. It's important not to have arms and legs crossed, because what we want is for the energy to flow throughout your body. And you should be sitting erect, but not military stiffness. All right, so that the head kind of is attached over the shoulders, the ears over the shoulders, not leaning forward with your head and letting it drop, but just comfortable, okay? And sitting up straight in the chair. And in this technique, what we're going to do is help you to get in touch with your body and to recognize the various levels of tension that you experience throughout the day. And it's going to help you to learn to relax deeply. First, tense your whole body as tightly as possible. Clench your fists. Flex your feet and your toes. Make a face. Squeeze tightly, but not so tightly you hurt yourself. Squeeze. Tense. Hold. Notice what it feels like to be this tense. Hold. And now relax. Relax completely. Allow your breath to fill you naturally. And as you exhale, let go completely. Let go into gravity. Release any tensions that you don't need. Allow the waves of breath to ebb and to flow. Now in just a moment I'm going to be asking you to tense your body again. But this time I'm going to ask you to try to control the amount of tension. So when you tense your body the next time, you're only going to tense it half as much as before. This is hard to do, and I think you can probably do it. All right? Tense. Hold. Feel what it is like to hold this level of tension. Hold. And let go. As you breathe, let go completely of any tension in your mind and body. Allow each breath to carry away all your tension. Now feel what it is like to have released and let go of this tension. Now in a moment I'm going to ask you to tense again, and again you're going to reduce it by half. So once again, tense your whole body, but again only half as much as last time. Tense. Hold. Feel how it is to have this level of tension in your body. Feel the bracing, squeezing, holding. Recognize that frequently throughout the day you are probably as tense as this without knowing it. Now exhale. Let go completely. Allow the waves of breath to wash away your tension. Let go into gravity. And feel your body opening to the flow of life. Feel your vitality and a deep, pervasive warmth inside of you. Now again, tense your body, and again, only half as much as the time before. And scan your body and feel the subtle ways in which tension pervades it. Hold. Feel it. and let go completely. Gently relax into the flow of your breath. Allow your body and mind to find their perfect harmony. Now tense only your mind. Clench your attention around a thought or anxiety. Hold. Feel the subtle pain in your heart closing around fear, anger, doubt, guilt. Generate a wish to be free from this pain and tension. Now breathe. Open. Release. Allow your mind and heart to open to the flow of thoughts, images, and feelings within your experience. Rest in this openness. Feel the deep, quiet strength that pervades your entire being. When you are ready, take a deep breath, a few deep breaths, and as you breathe, consciously infuse your body with a heightened sense of vitality. Infuse your mind with clarity and calm. Fill your heart with warmth, tenderness, and appreciation for yourself and the world you live in. And smile to yourself. Appreciate yourself. And when you're ready, come back to the room. And when you're ready, turn to the person next to you and share, when you're ready, what happened.
Very relaxing.
I do it, so I can't get into
Similar to
any.
the regular.
Yeah, because I can't get into any of the things you said. I mean, I felt so awkward clenching. Because I carry the tension in my shoulders.
Uh-huh.
And I just automatically go into the breathing.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm conscious of.
Oh, I feel everything out.
And I didn't want to clench my brain.
Good. Yeah, I'm hearing your comments, yeah. And you see, this has become a habit for you now.
It's a habit, and I'm not even really aware
Mhm.
of doing it.
And once you become aware, then you can decide whether or not you want to just kind of adjust your habit.
Well, I see the music is one thing. I mean, that is just so calming.
Uh-huh.
Very important.
Yeah, it's
It is,
important.
it
Yeah.
is. And I'm not an angry person, or
Mhm.
hostile. I don't have anything to overcome.
Mhm.
I carry my tension in my shoulders.
Right here. Yeah.
So I never clench my hands. I never clench my feet that I ever know of. I was trying to even know how to clench.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And the clenching the brain was interesting, but I don't know how we would do it.
Do what?
The brain. You said,
The brain follows. As you breathing, as you get rid of the thoughts in your head, I'm taking you through a lot in a little bit of time, and I'm doing it at a pace that hopefully you're relaxing. And what I'd like to do is pick up on the tension of the neck. All right? And we'll go through something. You're going to see how to do that. But before I go to the tension of the neck, because I bet a lot of us carry the tension here. And you know, when we're stressed, what happens is the breathing becomes very shallow. I mean, it just goes right here. We kind of stop breathing. And the body is this wonderful thing because it gets ready to fight or to flee. And blood rushes to the large muscle groups of the family so we can run. All right? So places that we carry tension that we're not aware of also can be here in the, the derriere and the large muscle groups, the legs back in here. And we also carry it often in the neck and in the shoulders and then all the way down the back. Sometimes people have it in their arms. There's all sorts of places for the tension. So we're going to do an exercise for that in a moment. I'm just going to show you how to gently give it a massage. All right? How about anyone else? How was that for you? Was it hard to tense half as much? It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
I feel gradually less tension.
You feel better now?
Yeah, I don't know how it's half,
Uh-huh.
I feel beginning I can hold on my fist
Uh-huh.
tighter, and gradually, like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
like this.
Exactly.
Yeah, and my brain beginning a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then gradually it's out.
Yeah. Now,
Peace.
what you want to remember is that these exercises that we're doing here, you want to start giving yourself permission to remember what we did so that when you walk out the door, you continue. All right?
Yeah.
So think now about a situation, just go in life where you get tense. We all have them. And think now, just kind of close your eyes or leave them open and just make a tape in your mind. Like rewind the tape? And put yourself out there and look at yourself, listen to yourself, whatever. Play the tape in your mind of a recent situation where you were tense. And pay attention in this tape. You're playing back a tape, a memory. Pay attention in this tape to how you reacted and what you did. And if you can, listen into that tape to your thoughts that you had in that experience. What did you notice?
Did I notice?
Yeah, what did you know?
Angry.
You get angry. Ah, okay. And how does that anger manifest?
Barbara here.
Uh-huh. How does that anger manifest in your body? What happens with your thoughts and what happens physically with you?
I feel more tense.
How? Specifically.
Specifically.
Mm-hmm.
It's more, I think, in my mind.
Okay. And what happens? How do you think you show it to other people?
Probably facial expression.
Probably.
Spout off or whatever.
You might spout off, so your voice might be a little bit clipped and the tone of voice. Okay. An exercise for takeaway, all right? There's two parts to this exercise. One is to notice others, and the other is to notice yourself. All right? And you want to release your need to defend, rationalize, okay, or judge.
I need this for tonight.
Yeah, all right? Now, because we all defend ourselves and others, we all rationalize everything we do, and we judge, right? Right or wrong, and by our standard. No one else knows what our standard is. We have it. All right. I want you to, and it's really hard to do this now, so I'm sharing with you. It's hard and not impossible. It's possible to do. It takes practice. You just suspend your requirement to defend, judge, or rationalize. Those three things. And instead simply notice. Now, what you're going to observe is it's called lower lip surveillance. All right? Lower lip surveillance. Now, I said that we did a program with several weeks with some people, and I gave this exercise as part of the program. And one of the gentlemen was in the class, came back, and he said, my wife said to me, stop staring at me like this. All right, so the idea is when you're doing the lower lip surveillance, you want to do it from your peripheral vision. You don't want to be looking at somebody like, let me stare at your lower lip. All right? And at the same time, the lower lip basically changes when our jaw changes. So everyone find a partner in the room, and what I'd like you to do is look at the partner, and you're going to make faces, all right? All right. First of all, I want you to look at the partner and just give them your most dazzling smile.
All right.
All right? Notice the lower lip. Feel it in yourself and look at them. Just feel, I mean, you don't have to touch yourself to feel it. Just feel your mouth go up. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to look at that person and give them your sternest look. Like they're a small child and they have just done something that you're not happy with. Hard. You can't do it. All right. Well, all right. So after, when you go home, you're going to notice, what I want you to do is I want you to start to pay attention to your moods. And I want you to pay attention to other people's moods.
Moods?
Moods, M-O-O-D-S, moods. And I want you to figure out if you can tell what their mood is from their lower lip before they've said a word, or from the way they walk.
I can tell when my husband opens the door.
What mood he's in?
Yes.
All right, so you're practiced at this. Now I want you to extend that ability and that skill out to others. And more importantly, to yourself. Notice the more importantly part? More importantly to yourself, because we're pretty good at being able to judge the other guy, right? That's why we have to suspend the judgment and the defense and the rationalizing. I want you to give yourself permission to observe without doing those three things.
Observe yourself.
Observe yourself.
How do you do that?
Oh, that's the key.
I think I can feel it.
Yeah.
Tense.
Yeah, yeah. The point is that we carry our tension in our body, and we think we only carry it in the mind. You know how you read these different studies about the peptides and the this tides and the that tides? You know, you're here, you're privy to all of this. And the thing is even though we're around it and intellectually we know things, it is so rare that we think about how it's affecting us physically. And we carry the stress in our bodies. Right? For example, when I am working on a project, I could sometimes get hired for other skills that I've developed over the years. And I'm hired as a contractor on a project. Now, it's usually when they hire me, it's because they have a short deadline and they don't have enough arms and legs in the agency or wherever to get the job done. And they need someone with my skills. And they may not have been able to get it done for 2 months, but they want it done in 1 week. And they've got someone, and we're working at a pace. Now, no one's being unreasonable because we have a deadline. But yet, I go into that mode of getting this thing worked, right? And, you know, invariably, I'll get hired by an agency that the people start at 7 because of traffic. And, you know, for 9 years now, I've been on my own. You know, I retired in 95. I started on my own in 92. And I work out of my home, and I said, only schedule things after 10 in the morning, you know, so you can get up, you can go for a walk, you can do this. You know, you're old enough now, you've earned it. But invariably, I hire myself out to do something that's not in that purview. So all of a sudden, my body rhythm has changed. My natural body rhythm. That still likes to get up early, just doesn't like to hurry. All right? Who likes to do some exercise, likes to go for a walk, likes to have breakfast, likes to sit and meditate before she starts the day, likes to look at the email that came in the night before, and then gently take herself out to the day. So as soon as I'm into a different rhythm, and we get into these different rhythms when we have house guests, when a project changes status, new project comes. You can think of those different lots of times that it happens. All right, as soon as something changes, our physiology changes. And for me, I have to change my diet. I end up going to a vegetarian diet with lots of little meals during the day and extra liquids. And I drop the caffeine. Because what happens is as soon as I get into that, I start to crave junk food, all right, and chocolate, and all of the things. So I naturally go for things that I normally don't eat anyway. And then within a couple days of this new activity, I am feeling sluggish. My brain is sluggish. My body is sluggish. My whole system is off. I have pains in the abdomen. And I've suffered from, in the past, from a spastic colon. So all of a sudden the spastic colon starts to act up. Now, what's happened? Nothing has befallen me, right? I have signed up for something new. But I put myself into a new way of working, a way of working where I get going up San Juan Hill. I've got to make that deadline. And as soon as I start to do that, I kind of forget all these wonderful techniques I'm teaching you. And I said to myself, now Mary, you know, you went off 9 years ago almost, 9 years ago, to learn a new way of doing this, to show people how to do things. And then every so often someone hires you for something, you go back to your old habits. So what I find is I'm teaching myself how to do what I'm teaching you. The best way to teach something, to learn something, is to teach it. So the first thing is in awareness. It's that now I learn early in the project, oh, here you go. Look at yourself there, girl, going off after this junk food. You know, leave it. Drink water. Bring a bottle with you and drink it. Drink tea, green tea. All right? Not a lot, drink it. You know, just live differently. Eat differently. So if you know you're going to be grabbing for food, have fruit. Go down to the cafeteria, buy the fruit, bring it back, eat that instead. In other words, conscious decisions to reduce the stress in my life. As soon as I find myself with my heart in my throat, not breathing, just breathe. Check yourself now. Where is your breath? Breathe deeper. Make sense? See, when we talk about fragmented lives, something's got to change. And what has to change is, yes, the thinking, but something has to follow the thinking. It has to be put into action. When we're in action, that's our body. So when they talk about this body, mind, and spirit, just get the body, mind. The spirit will follow, okay?
I have to go. I wish I could stay. I don't know why they make it 2 hours, but you helped me so much when you told me about your experience. This is my new job at a month. And I was thrown for a loop with everything that you were talking about.
Okay.
Because it's a change in time, I take the bus because it's 5 minutes on the bus.
Yep.
And I don't want to waste my expensive gas coming down Cedar Lane and trying to park. And it was a new stress because I have to make the bus to get here at a certain time.
Exactly.
And that really, and I was so upset every which way. So now I know.
Good. Now I'm going to teach you quickly before you leave. Let's just go through with the body, all right? What I want you to do is just sit and breathe naturally. And as you breathe, I want you to become aware of different tensions or stresses or pains in your body. We all have them. And just pick one and breathe into it. Just pretend you can take that breath and just breathe right into that area of tension and soften around it. Smile at it. And talk to it. And say, there's no need for you to stay in my body. You can leave now. And continue to breathe. Just breathe and scan your body. Find the tension. Breathe into it. Soften around it and smile at it. Just smile at it and let it go. And let it go. Okay, that's the key. Thank you so much, Barbara, for coming. I'm sorry you have to leave now. If you have a chance to fill out the evaluation and leave it at the door, that would be great. Thank you. Okay. Now, something else. When we have tension, stand up and just do this. I want you to stand because you've been sitting for an hour, you know, and we go for 2 hours. But stand. And you see what I'm just doing? I'm just lifting and rotating my shoulders, right? Bring them up to your ears and back. That feel good? All right, now do it the other way. You can do this at your desk or in the restroom. Okay? Just lift your arms and just put them over your head and just stretch. Pull a rope. You see how that gets to the tension in the back of the neck? Okay? Just out and down. You can also just drop your chin and just rotate the head halfway. Rotate your neck over to the side. And then just let it fall naturally, going very, very slowly. Real slow motion. And bring it down and then rotate it to the back. Notice I'm only doing like semicircles. Can you feel when you do that how it stretches? Huh? Pulls. If you can find time to go for a walk, just the motion of walking. If you can go for a 15 or 20 minute walk, half hour is even better, it's great. Okay? Thank you. Questions, comments?
You see, when you want to reduce body weight, you drink water, but your stomach feels hungry. So what to do?
Well, as you continue to drink it, see what happens is the body is saying, what do you mean you're giving me so much water? I'm not used to having this much water, and I'm going to resist. So when you start to drink this water, you want to drink it in small doses. Not a gallon at a time, but 8 ounces at a time, or maybe 4 ounces at a time. And just drink it, sip it throughout the day, and increase your water. And you don't have to go from like 1 or 2 glasses a day to 10, because your body doesn't know what to do with it, does it? It's kind of like a flood, you know, the water comes down on the ground, and the ground has been parched, and what happens? It rolls off, it doesn't sink in. Well, your body is a lot like the earth. So increase it little by little. So if you drink, you know, I don't know how much water you drink a day, but I used to think I drank a lot of water, and then I started to just count up the number of times I filled a cup with anything. Coffee, water, tea, okay? Seltzer water, soda.
And I feel if I feel stressful or depressed, and I eat more food.
Absolutely.
That's
And some people don't eat at all when they get the same way. You don't. So now you know what you do, right? You eat more food when you get stressed, and you do that.
Yeah.
So then start watching what kind of food you eat. I bet you go for the real comfort foods, don't you? Lots of carbohydrates.
Yeah, more stressed, then just eat more junk food.
And more junk food.
Fast food or even like this.
I do the same thing, and I get sick. I get physically ill. So now that you know that, that's good. You see, you are aware.
Yeah.
Aware is the first step in transformation. The first step. Now, the second step is suspending the need, dropping your need, your requirement to beat yourself up because you just did it. You say, oh, how about that? I just ate that junk food. Oh, well. And then get it out of the house. When you buy it, you put it in the shopping cart, and you get to the thing, you go, oh, look at all this junk food. Leave it there. Don't let them ring it up. Get it out of your life. But now, if you get it out of your life, you have to substitute something. Because if you don't have something you're going to enjoy, right?
Yes.
You're going to keep craving. You're going to obsess over that other thing. So you have to little by little change your diet. Now, the other thing you want to do is you want to check with your doctor or a nutritionist. Because what I found for me is that when I get really stressed, I stop taking my vitamin pills. I stopped taking different products, like Chromium is one that they talk about, Picolate and different things like that. I'm saying go check with the doctor, go check with your nutritionist. Make sure that you're getting what you want. Because what I read and my belief, and I'm not telling you what you should believe or what your belief is, my belief is that all of the foods that we get don't have all the nutrients in them that we'd like them to have because the soil is depleted. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't know. So anyway, so if that is true, then having some, I mean, you pick up Prevention Magazine, Health Magazine, Time, Newsweek, any of these things, they're telling you, I'm not reading the medical things, but they're quoting studies that say, eat better, better diet, better nutrition. And when you are getting the right, I believe, when you're getting the right mix for you, see, what's right for the person next to you and what's right for you, you're two different people. So the same thing isn't right for both of you. Right? So when you figure out what yours is, you want to get that diet and treat yourself.
Yeah, I think I need is more psychological. So for the nutrition, these food and things, I know I'm a doctor.
You're a doctor.
Yeah, and so I need a more psychological treatment.
Okay.
Like this kind of stuff.
All right.
And feel I don't need this food.
Okay.
Usually I just enjoy the food every
Okay.
time.
Okay.
It's a big problem.
All right. I have another exercise that I don't have time to do here today. It's an NLP exercise, Neuro-Linguistics Programming, and it's called 6-Step Reframing.
Oh, I see.
And I'll just describe it if you'd like to hear it, and ever y'all want to do it, I can teach you how to do it. It requires you're getting in touch with yourself, and it's like a game you're playing. And it helps, all right? There's a premise, and it's called positive intention. And the definition of positive intention is anything and everything that a sayer or a doer says or does is done for the positive intention of the sayer or doer. Now that's a long way to saying that anything I do for myself. So, you say, well, wait a minute, I put money in the collection plate on Sunday, right? How did I do something for myself? Well, I felt good because I put it in there. I said, look at me. But whatever, I help somebody. I get something out of it. So now what you have to do is you have to separate the behavior from the positive intention. Okay, you with me? Let me give you an example of behavior versus positive intention. You have two children, two little boys who has a father that screams. The one little boy, when the father screams, puts his head down, and he's hoping that the father will stop screaming. Right? He cowers, hoping that by looking like, Father, you're the boss, here I am, and he just kind of goes into a shell. And what's his positive intention? Make the noise stop, bring myself peace, right? And the behavior is, all right, here's this other kid. This other kid, brother, different personality. The father screams, and the kid says, don't you shout at me. All right? Now, we have these two children, and they grow up to be adults, and they're working. And all of a sudden, they have a manager, a supervisor, who's a screamer. May not be exactly the same kind of screamer as the father, but when that person talks with that tone of voice or gives a command or whatever, inside, right, it pushes the button that takes them back to when they were a little boy. Now, they may not, it's not conscious. So, the one that cowered kind of cowers. May not put the head down quite as low, but gets kind of quiet and kind of backs off and goes away and doesn't speak up. And the one that blew up before, guess what he does now? He blows up. A lot of us have, so all I'm saying is that a lot of the behaviors or habits that we have, my opinion is, and based on study of my own self, is that I formed them when I was a child. And I formed them unconsciously. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Unconsciously. So that as we go through life, different things happen, and most of the time I'm living unconsciously. I'm in autopilot. All right? I don't have to explain autopilot. You're nodding your head, so you're with me. All right. So, if now I want to, if I notice that I think with my conscious mind, but I execute with my unconscious mind. Where's my unconscious mind? It's somewhere in my body, or it's in a different part of the brain that I'm thinking. All right? It's not that conscious part. And I am not a scientist, so I'm doing it in very layman terms as I understand it. So I've got to figure out how to reprogram that part of me that acts automatically on autopilot. And I do that by becoming conscious of what I'm doing. That's the first step. Awareness is the first step of this transformation. All right, so in a 6-step reframing, and first of all, there's a whole bunch of different techniques that you can use for different kinds of situations. Ones that when I've wanted to change habits, all right? And I go into myself and I get in touch, and it's like a game, with that part of myself that is responsible for eating the wrong things at a wrong time. I say in this meditative state, and it's usually guided, well, that part of me that's responsible for thus and so, right? Please talk to me. Make yourself known with a body sensation. Now, every time I have done this exercise on me, I burp. Did you hear my burp? All right? That's what I do. I don't know why, but whenever I go into this exercise, that little burp comes up. I have a friend whose thumb starts to get like prickly, like pins and needles. I mean, different people have different kinds of things. And then you say to that part, thank you, I want to make sure that you're the right part. So if this is true, make this bodily sensation stronger. And if it's a no, make it weaker. Well, it gets a little stronger. Say, I'm in touch with the part. And then as you go through it, you say, would you be willing to tell me what the positive intention is of my eating the wrong foods when I know better? Because this just isn't working out for me right now. Would you be willing to tell me in words if that would work? And then you wait for that body sensation to come back again, and it usually gets stronger. So you say, yes. And then you say to it, great, I'm going to be quiet now, and I want you to tell me in a thought form what the positive intention is. And you're quiet, and the person who's leading you through the exercise will ask you what it is. And you may say something that doesn't make too much sense, and then they'll say to you, ask it what the purpose of that is. And when you finally get down, it's usually something that's going to make you feel good or be self-protective. When I first did this exercise for me, I had a problem that I've had most of my adult life, since I've started making money. Okay? I would spend all my money, or a good part of it, before I got the bills paid that needed to be paid, like the rent, the phone bill, the car payment, the insurance. And I wouldn't spend all of it, but I would spend more than I should have. In other words, you should pay those things first and put money in savings first before you go spending. I wasn't doing that. So I was always feeling stressed that I didn't have enough money at the end of the month to pay the things that needed to be paid, because the phone bill didn't have to be paid like till the 25th, and I spent it around the 4th. So the question is, when I went inside myself, was, what's the positive intention? And the positive intention was, I want you to feel like a rich lady. Well, that made sense, right? I was a rich lady because I was spending money. So I said, I too want to be a rich lady. And I'd like to feel like a rich lady because I've got savings and I have less of a debt load. All right? The behavior that I'm doing of this spending, like impulse buying, isn't working for me. I want to change it. So I'm talking to this part as if it's paying attention, but it does. Would you be willing to work with the creative part of me and select some other ideas of how we might go about this? And the part says yes, by giving that bodily sensation again. You go back over there and you say to the creative part, contact me, and it contacts you. Would you be willing to come up with lots of ideas? Then you send the two parts talking to each other, selecting new activities, new habits, and keep it to itself, because you don't want to know what it is, because you're not responsible for it. It is. And you tell it, take responsibility. And I don't know how to explain this to you, but it works. 8 out of 10 times. I am so sorry that you only have an hour. Absolutely. I think my number is on there. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. I think you make a...
Does it make sense?
Make the point. Yeah. I have a heart operation done 2 months ago. Seems everybody can lose like 10 pounds. So I gained more than 5 pounds.
Yeah.
I feel bad,
Yeah, but first of all, stop beating yourself up.
Yeah.
And once you get in touch with it, but you can go through, the exercise happens to make it easier, but I'm going to tell you, you still have to become in touch with it. But these techniques, a few years ago, when I left, I didn't give you a lot of my background, but I worked for IBM and I'm retired from IBM. And one of the downsizings, you could leave and lock in retirement if you could retire within 7 years, and I could retire within 3. So I left and said, you got this far, you'll get the rest of the way. And because we had gone through so many different downsizings, and I was in burnout, and I didn't know that I was in burnout. Oh, I knew I was in trouble, but I didn't know how burned out I was until I got out and realized I couldn't go back and do a lot of things that I used to do, like to support myself. I thought, oh, Mary, this may have been a foolish thing to do. And as you can see, I went to a get-together recently with people I used to work with, and they said, so there's life after IBM. And I said, yeah, and it's working out okay. Been through lots of different changes. And I made goals for myself, and I wanted to teach people how to get in touch with themselves and figure out what was working, what wasn't, and learn how to change things and have more joy in their life. So that was my goals. I wrote them down. I carry them on a card in my wallet. Well, guess what? I didn't know how. Here I have these wonderful goals. I don't know how to change anything. So I thought, I have to go learn how. And I started to do little motivational talks. And one thing led to another. Everything this has been reference is. I did a program for Montgomery County Department of Recreation. And one of the people that participated invited me to come to a class that was being done in Georgetown at Georgetown Visitation. And it was done by a Jesuit priest who had been in India for 42 years. And at the tender age of 65, and he was 65 then, he had just gotten his PhD in psychology, and his specialty was neurolinguistics programming. And I started to go to his classes, and now I have permission to teach some of his material. The 6-step reframing exercise that I shared with you is one of his exercises. And there's a whole bunch of other things. And it's kind of cognitive behavioral techniques. And they work for some people. They're not foolproof, and they work. But so as we've been going through, letting go of tension, relaxing the body, breathing that we've taken care of here, as we've talked about making sense out of our bringing balance to our lives, it has to start someplace. And for me, I had to learn how to let go of tension. Do I still have tension? Absolutely. Do I still have my spastic colon act up at times? Absolutely. The difference between now and before is I now recognize it sooner, and I take steps to change. It's important that you give yourself space, okay? A lot of times it seems like we have no space, that everything, the walls are closing us in. And the idea is push them out. Give yourself more space. We grow, right? You have a potted plant, you get it, someone gives you a small plant, you pay a couple bucks for it, it's a little tiny, and it starts to grow. The next thing you know, it's root bound. Now, what happens with that plant after it's root bound? You got to do something, right? It's going to die if you don't put it in a bigger container and give it the right nutrients and everything else. So what I'm saying is you want to give yourself a bigger container. So you've got to give yourself space. With that space, you want to give yourself freedom. That's giving yourself permission to change. Giving yourself permission to notice that you've just done something that you weren't pleased with, and you didn't beat yourself up. And you also want to love yourself and love others. Because if you have love without freedom, it tends to become addictive. If you have freedom without the love, you have a tendency to become narcissistic. So the whole idea is to give yourself permission. In other words, I have not really told you anything that you don't already know. There's no new news in this session today. Hopefully, though, because you're so busy, and because you've given yourself time to stop today, to carve out an hour or two for yourself, because you've given yourself time to stop, you'll be able to give yourself space. Now, this space isn't going to happen immediately unless, you're going to have to figure out how to give yourself space. But the first space comes in the mind. It's the thought of, I'm free. I can do this. I can stop right now beating myself up by telling myself I goofed when I ate junk food. Right? And just say, oh, look at that. You just ate junk food. How does it feel, body? Body, talk to me. Huh? Blood. You like that? Are you handling it okay? Or are the globs getting a little bit bigger? Are you sticking to the arteries? What's happening in there? I mean, I don't understand how this whole body's put together, but I can visualize in my mind, all right, articular sclerosis. Everyone on my mother's side of the family died from heart disease. My mother had cholesterol of 588 when they discovered it. 588. Yeah, it got worse. All right, so, I mean, it's like, what happens? And I believe that when we can keep ourselves calm, that we can have our blood pressure lower, that we can, that the calmness that we have inside us helps make us healthier. And there's research that shows, like meditation, people are better, different things. So I think you're doing the research here that's showing the calmness. But just because people are calm, this says, how do you do it? Well, you have to start by giving yourself permission to make space in your life, to put yourself in a different container. Right? Now, it doesn't mean you have to do anything drastic. Like, it doesn't mean you change houses, change relationships, change jobs. All right? what you have to do is think differently.
Yeah, thinking different.
Think differently. How can I give myself space? What happens in my everyday? Where can I carve out 5 minutes here and 10 minutes there? How can I do it? How can I take control over my life? All right? So, what we are looking for here is an undisturbable mind, calmness in action. That's what we're looking for, an undisturbable mind. How do we do it? All right? These are some of the things. Questions before we go on. I got other exercises for you to do.
Very important.
It's important. You have to get in touch with the body, because it's the body that's eating the food, not the mind. The intellect's not eating the food. The body's eating the potato chips and whatever else we have here, right?
Yeah.
All right. The body's is the one not exercising.
Yes, yes.
The body is the one saying the words in anger.
Yeah.
The body is the one saying, well, that's just the way I am.
Yes, yes.
All right?
Not thinking differently. Not thinking your body is another,
They're connected.
Yeah.
And when you have a thought, the body has it. I was on talk about going out as a contractor every so often. I was on in one, and I don't know why, but I had to get a physical for this thing anyway, and they brought somebody in to take the blood pressure and all this and to take all the medical history. And the woman, I'm sitting in my chair, and she's there, and she's putting the blood pressure cuff on me. And while she's taking the blood pressure, someone opened the door and came in. And my blood pressure shot up. And she said, boy, that was something. She says, your blood pressure just really went up. Well, I was so annoyed that this guy opened the door when I'm in there, right? That didn't knock, didn't do anything. But the blood pressure went up. So the fact is that when we have a thought, the systems follow. I listen to the radio. I get lots of my medical news on the radio coming home, and I don't know if it was WGMS or if it was 1500 for the traffic, but they were talking about surgery, and people that are getting surgery these days, a lot of them are playing the classical music. Bell Ruth Knappersack has tapes, and one of them is for people for surgery. And you listen to it, guided visualizations that tells you, your doctors and all the caregivers know what they're doing and so forth, and everything is working well. And then there's music that plays that has this supposedly subliminally on these tapes. I have a couple friends that use them for surgery, and they swear it works. On the radio yesterday, research has been done, says it is. Now, I don't know how good that research is, but that's what I heard. So there's enough anecdotal evidence, if not really bona fide research, as you do here at NIH, to say that there's something to this. Do the research. Figure it out at the level. Okay? Questions, comments? I've been saying a lot of stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you. This will be very helpful.
Is it helpful? How about, yeah? What are you thinking?
I was just comparing my own experience with Barbara, who says, she's never tense and she automatically does this breathing. I think, and maybe it's something I learned in childhood, that I never really let go of all the tension in my body, even when I'm sleeping.
That's right.
So I would like to know how to do that.
How to do that? I'm going to go through another exercise on centering. What you really have to do is... Let me answer the question this way. How you will do this, I don't know. Because I think we're all different. You are going to find what works for you. Okay? I can share with you some things that I know have helped others and what has helped me.
So you start with the intention.
You start with the intention and you give yourself permission. And then you do it. What might help you when you're sleeping at night is you can buy tapes at the different bookstores, audio tapes, and the best audio tape that you could use for this is one that you record yourself in your own voice. And in the meantime, you can buy a tape that relaxes your body and you play it as you go to sleep, and make sure you have a tape recorder that shuts off at the end of the tape, because you will be asleep before the tape finishes.
I don't have trouble sleeping. I just...
No, it relaxes you as you sleep. I'm going to take you through an exercise now on that. That's one thing. The other thing is the intention is there. Are you doing any kind of exercising?
Yeah.
All right. So you're already doing that. Then I think it's getting in a routine and relaxing and give yourself permission just to unwind. Have you taken a vacation recently?
Yeah, I flex, so I get every other Friday off.
I mean a vacation. Have you taken a vacation? Have you taken 2 weeks back to back, 2 solid weeks, 10 days away from the office, and gone someplace different?
Not for about 3 years.
Okay. Something you might want to consider figuring out when you can look that in. Another little story, personal story. Never took a real vacation until 1978. I didn't. I mean, we were a family that did not go on vacation. A vacation was going to visit the uncle at the lake or going to the country where they have the cows and the horses and spending a day. But my family never took a vacation. We didn't go to the beach. We didn't do anything. My father worked. We had a weekend here, a weekend there, visiting relatives. I would not call that a vacation. So I started to work, and all of the time that I'm from Pennsylvania, and every day off that I had, you had 2 weeks vacation, the first year, and the first several years, I would take those days to go home and visit my mother. She expected me to go home and visit her. I didn't think about doing something else with my time. So now it's, I left home in 1965, now it's 1978, and my mother has decided that I should have a vacation. I should not come home. I should go on a vacation. And I said, I don't have time or money. You have time. You can go. I don't have any money to go. And my stepsister was going into law school, and she was taking the summer off. And she was going to go cross-country in her little Honda Civic. And my mother was scared to death that this young woman was going to go cross-country all by herself. So my mother started to call people and saying, don't you want to go for 2 weeks of a 2-week leg of this trip, unbeknownst to my stepsister. And I'm saying to my mother, I hardly know her. You married after I left home. And, Mother says, you'll get along with her. So I said, I have no money. My mother sent me a check for the airfare. So I went on this vacation. It was 2 weeks. And I flew out to Great Falls, Montana. And we went through Glacier National Park, the Going to the Sun Road, and then we drove all the way down in those 2 weeks to the Grand Canyon, and we saw both North Rim and South Rim. And then another woman came in, and we all had dinner together, and then I flew out the next morning, and she went on the next leg. But I have to tell you, the first week of that trip, as I sat in that Honda Civic with this woman I hardly knew, I kept thinking about the IBM Corporation, and it was just going to fall flat on its face because I wasn't there. I could not forget my work. I mean, I want you to know this, my friends, nobody was going to be able to live without moi. I could not wait till this vacation was over. I did not relax. Something magical happened between Saturday and Monday. I don't know when it happened, but by Monday morning, all of the tension that had been down my back and my attitude of can't wait to get back to the office had disappeared. And I thoroughly enjoyed the second week of that vacation. Since then, I've tried to give myself a 2 to 3 week vacation every year. And I try to give myself a couple days before I leave at home to get packed leisurely. And then I try to give myself a couple days at home when I get back to unpack leisurely and re-enter, so that the vacation itself is 2 weeks. And that magic continues to happen for me in the second week of the vacation. Now, if you haven't tried it, I make it a strong recommendation. because until you realize that it will happen for yourself, and then you can go to the relaxation. Questions, comments?
Yeah, usually the vacation is means visiting friends, make more exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I already take one vacation this last summer, went to a mountain, have a camp.
Mm-hmm.
So I sleep 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe that's called vacation.
Yep. And sleeping 12 hours is sometimes exactly what you need to do, at least the first couple days of the vacation.
Yeah.
My favorite vacation, I haven't been there in a number of years, but we went there for maybe 11 years straight, 12 years straight. Went to Bar Harbor, Maine, and we'd drive up the coast of Maine, and we'd stop, in different places, but we stayed at what they called in Maine a camp, which is a cottage on a lake. And it was in Southwest Harbor. And you could get into Acadia National Park and walk the carriage trails and do the hikes and go out and have dinner and sit on the deck and read a book. And they had a sailboat with a play sail, a little boat. And it was like a day that had there was no phone, right? There was no radio. There was no newspaper. There was no television. There were books. There was a place to cook out. There was a place to swim. And it was just a different routine. You woke up when you woke up, when you went to bed when you were tired. And it was nice. So I recommend that to you. All right. You want to center in a chair now? Read another exercise here? Okay, we've done the relaxing the body and scanning the body. We've breathed. I want to do centering in a chair. Where I put my glasses. Okay. Now this particular exercise is from another one. It's in your handout. It's called an unused intelligence. Physical thinking for 21st century leadership. And it's in your handout, so you'll have it there. And the foreword of this book says that MIT Center for Transformational Leadership uses exercises by this author. So I don't know if they're the ones right from this book or if they're different ones, but they use that, okay? And physical thinking. So we're talking about thinking from our body, all right? And what we're talking about here is centering. And centering is reconnecting with yourself by increasing your awareness of what's going on and accepting things as they are in your current reality. That's a quote from the book. That's what we've been talking about. Centering is reconnecting with yourself by increasing your awareness of what's going on and accepting things as they are in your current reality. It's an opportunity to rest in the center of things. It's taking a pause to stop action, if only for a moment or 3 breaths long, or for a morning. As if you were conducting an environmental impact report on your own internal and external activity. Bringing balance to our fragmented lives requires that we decide to do it and then put a plan in place and do it. Okay? Centering is an invitation to pay attention in a different way, through the body as a living playing field, as an object of concentration, until you come to a still point, a place where your concept of yourself begins to open. Okay, putting that space in there. From this place, it's possible to turn inward in reflection or outward into action in a unified way. The process itself is quite simple if you bring your curiosity and your willingness to be reflective and open to the unexpected. Each time you center, you invite yourself to release any need to be right, to judge, to anticipate, or to assume for just a few minutes. Okay? Centering facilitates our capacity for being present in situations and emotions that otherwise overwhelm us, because the body becomes capable of containing chaos. Okay? So this is a gift to yourself. So you're ready to practice centering in a chair? Okay. So begin by sitting in a straight back chair. You have one there. And if you wanted to move, if these are on wheels and you want to move to the side to one that's not on wheels, please be my guest. Okay. Sit in this chair with your feet flat on the floor and your knees opened to their preferred width. Experiment first by sitting vigilant in the chair as if it cannot be trusted to hold you and it might collapse at any minute. Okay? Now consider how you would respond if you were startled suddenly from behind. Okay. Now experiment by sagging into the chair as if it's a place where you can totally let your mind go on a little vacation. Totally collapse into the chair. Put all your body weight in it. Sink down. And now consider how you would respond if you were startled from behind. Okay, you got it? All right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to explore developing a relationship not only with the chair and any anticipated surprising moments, but also with your breath and your body. So come forward in your chair. Come forward in your chair and notice the sensations in your body as you feel what it's like for your spine not to be supported by the chair back. So sit up in the chair, not resting on the back, and just notice how your body changes and how it feels. Notice your weight or heaviness on the seat. And for 8 to 10 breaths, let the full weight of your torso sink down through your sitting bones into the chair. And from within, allow your breath to give shape to your posture in the space. Notice now how your right foot contacts the ground and the amount of weight it communicates into the earth. As you begin to inhale, start to develop more of a push with your right foot. And as it pushes slightly, the rest of you remains relaxed and loose, as if on vacation. As your right foot pushes into the ground, notice the sensation of the counter push of the earth to the stream into your body. Now release your foot and notice how that influences the rest of your body. Shift the pressure to your left foot as you inhale. And with each breath, allow yourself to let go of holding tightly in any particular way. Alternate back and forth from right foot pushing to left foot pushing. Each time the pushing leg puts you in a new space and allows the rest of yourself to stay newly positioned and relaxed. Allow your belly to stay soft and expanded. Notice how your body can respond much as a sea plant does by swaying in a warm ocean current. Pause now and relax and sense how you are sitting now. Take a soft breath and push both feet into the earth and wait as your vertical alignment feels the effect of that push. As you continue to breathe, experiment with redistributing the support of your body weight between your feet and your spine. Find the balance place where the mere intention to ground your feet produces an uplifting feeling throughout your body. Now find a neutral position, neither forward or back, in which you can sit without collapse nor exaggerated effort. Each time you feel your spine getting tired, bring your awareness back to your feet and breathe and soften your body so that it can tune into the new uprightness being negotiated in this space. Imagine that your posture is not static, but always adjusting to the earth, responding to inner currents or breezes. The more your feet push on the earth, the more it gives you a lift. Once again, continue how you would respond if you were startled from behind. And when you're ready, come back to the room. What do you think, huh? I have to stay up here so I'm on camera, but
Very relaxed.
very relaxed.
I could go sleep.
Uh-huh. What happened, Ellen? Remember when we first started, you were as if the chair wasn't going to collapse? Think about situations in your life where you mistrust and you think things could collapse at any moment. Okay? Think of how your body is. And then think of other situations in your life where you just want to collapse or you collapse. Interesting, huh? That's a metaphor for the exercise we just went through. Think also, what happens in your life? What are the situations in your life where you respond with curiosity and flexibility? Because that's what you did in the longer part of the exercise. And that longer part of the exercise, now what you want to do is you go back and you say, of those places where I'm sitting and I'm mistrusting, or I'm collapsing, how might I shift my energy so that I respond with curiosity and flexibility? Other question she has. She says, use your new practice to center while sitting during high-stress meetings, at your desk during a charged phone call, or in any situation where your habit is to lose yourself by focusing only on the task or other people. You see, when we're only focusing on the task or other people is when we go into that autopilot and we do our self-damage. So the idea is to bring these things into awareness so that you're going to be more flexible and curious. And it takes practice. It doesn't happen the first time. And it works as you start to focus on it. Okay? Now, I have one more exercise that I want you to do. Okay? Oh, and she has one more. She says, itemize your own personal resources for centering. For example, she says, one person knows that he's centered when at the golf tee, ready to hit the ball. Another person knows that she's centered when she's in her herb garden. Another person knows when he's trout fishing. So if you have these personal resources, that when you are centered, kind of bring them into the situation and think about them when you're in that high-stress meeting a little bit. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is we're going to practice the last one here, centering with a challenge. And you need a partner for this. So maybe someone come up and be my partner, and then the rest of you can, would someone want to volunteer with me? We can demonstrate. You want to come? And then the rest of you just partner off, all right? The first one is called Centering with a Challenge. And you want to take a moment to consider your predominant stance or posture at work. Okay, think about that now. How do you stand at work? For example, are you, what's the metaphor? Steeled for trouble? Hunkered down for action? Halfway out the door? Never at rest? A hand on the wheel? What adjectives would apply? Your stance at work. Harmonious? Controlling? Lighthearted? Angry? Combative? Hopeless? Bitter? Sarcastic? Delightful? Righteous? Okay? So the idea is now is that here we are, and what we're going to do is we're going to do an aggressive stance, all right? We're going to take turns doing this. what I want you to do is I want you to plank your feet in the ground, and I'm going to put my hand right here, and I'm going to push, gently push. I'm not going to push her over. I'm going to push in, all right? And I want you, when I push you, I want you not to be unmovable. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Do you feel the tension in your body?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to do the same thing. I want you to try it to me. She's pushing pretty hard. I'm having a hard time keeping it. All right, so I took a stance. Would you stand up and try this now? Okay, it's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you feel the difference in your body? Yeah. That's what she says next. Probably doesn't require much practice. What happened? Huh? Did you push too hard? She fell over?
She's a rock.
She's a rock, huh? All right, do it on her now. Okay. Now, what are the physical changes of this way of receiving the challenge? Think about it. What happened in your body? How would you characterize the relationship between the two of you?
Adversarial? Adversarial?
Adversarial, huh? Yeah, and it can happen, right? Okay. Think of a time at work when this energetic dynamic between you and another person happened. Okay, now we're going to switch. This one probably won't take too much practice either. This one is the person, we're going to push the same way, but I'm going to be a pushover now, all right? I don't want any trouble, understand? So you want to push me the same way? No fun in that, was there?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to do it to you. I'd like you to try it too, right? I mean, I wanted to have a little bit of a tussle here, and it didn't happen, right? So, what are the physical sensations of this way of receiving an energetic challenge? How would you characterize the relationship between the two of you? Okay.
It's cooperative.
Cooperative? Maybe, but she's a pushover. He's a pushover. All right, so the next one we want to do is more centered. And in this one, you want to feel the sensation, and you don't want to be too strong and too much of a pushover. So just kind of relax your body, all right? And put your hands, we'll be finished right out of here at 1:30. And just kind of center yourself, all right? And when I push, you don't push hard back and you don't be a pushover, but just a little bit of tension, creative tension. Push a little bit there. Okay, do it. Push me. It's easier, huh?
Easier, yeah.
Easier.
Easier, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now, we did these exercises today so that you could start to center in your body. And I want to finish up now. Have you enjoyed what we've done today?
Yes.
Okay. If you take a look at the handout that you have, in here there's source materials. I've just given you all the information where I got the information that we did. The fine arts of relaxation, the letting go of tension, and the breathing exercises came from there. An unused intelligence was our last couple exercises. And then I adapted this from another exercise. And if you just take a quick look at it, I'm going to ask you to do this. It's a reflection package. And later in the week, this evening, over the weekend, or whether, take a couple days to do this. And assess yourself in the 7 life areas: professional, financial, physical, intellectual, family, social, and spiritual. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being high. Where are you? And then there's room in there to make some notes. And then after you do that, turn to the next page and think about what your long and short-term goals are. I think short-term, within a year, long-term, over a year. And then how you think about yourself, what your self-image is, having achieved the goal. And then in these life areas, a place for you to write the goals. And you can save this as a template and use a journal or something to write this exercise out. I know that if you'll take the time to think about this, my experience tells me that we often achieve those things. Okay? And I'd like to close our session, if I will, with a quote from a calendar. A couple years ago, I had a calendar that Deepak Chopra had put out. It was on November 17th, 1998. And he said, "Your body is the river of life that sustains you. Yet it does so humbly without asking for recognition. If you sit and listen to it, you will find that a powerful intelligence dwells in and with you." Thank you so much for your attention and your participation. I thoroughly enjoyed myself today. I hope you did too. And if you'd complete the evaluation forms, we'll leave them, so we'll get them back to the Family Life Center. Thank you.